everyone. In this video, I'm going to be talking about dividing fractions, talking about the steps and going through a few examples to show you how to go step by step when you're dividing fractions. So there's 3 things to remember when you're dividing fractions. First, we want to always make sure that we change any mixed number into an improper fraction first. So we have 2 fractions that we're dealing with. Also, if we have any whole numbers, we want to make those into fractions as well. Once we have 2 fractions, we want to keep, change, then flip. And the flip is we call the reciprocal. All right, so when we look at the examples, that'll make a little bit more sense. But when we're dividing fractions, always remember, keep, change, flip. All right, so now let's look at an example. The first one is 1 divided by 1/5. So if we do 1 divided by 1/5, we want to change our whole number, as I said before, into a fraction. So 1 as a fraction, we just put it over 1. So 1 over 1, because 1 divided by 1 is still 1. Now, that's our first fraction that we're keeping. So we keep, we change the sign, and then we flip our second fraction so that we are going to use the reciprocal, which means the numerator becomes the denominator and the denominator becomes the numerator. All right, so we keep the first number. That 1 didn't change. Now we change our operation from division to multiplication, okay, because that's the inverse operation. Now we flip our second fraction. So our 1/5 becomes 5 over 1, okay? So now we just multiply straight across like we done with any other multiplication of fractions. 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 times 1 is 1. Now to simplify it, 5 divided by 1 is just 5. So 1 divided by 1/5 would equal 5. Because if we think about it, if we have one whole and we split it by 1/5, we're going to have 5 of those because 5 1/5 makes one whole. Because we can rewrite this as 5 times 1/5 equals one whole. And if we check this, we have 5 over 1 times 1 over 5, and 5 times 1 is 5, and 1 times 5 is 5, and 5 divided by 5 is just one whole, or 5 out of 5. All right? So that's why this works, because we're changing the operation to the inverse operation, and we're changing our second fraction to be the reciprocal when we flip our numerator and our denominator. Okay, so keep, change, flip is really important, and you'll use this throughout middle school and high school as well. All right, so we have 1/4 divided by 6. So I'm going to keep my 1/4. I'm going to change my division to multiplication. Now our 6. To make 6 a fraction, we originally put it over 1. Now to flip that, I'm going to have 1 over 6, or 1/6. Now I can multiply straight across. 1 times 1 is 1, and 4 times 6 is 24. And that's in simplest form, 1/24. Okay, now let's look at number 3. We still have 1/9 divided by 3. So let's make our 3 a fraction. 3 over 1. We can just put our whole number over 1 because dividing by 1 keeps the number the same. So we're going to keep the first fraction, 1/9. We're going to change division to multiplication, and we're going to flip our second fraction so it becomes 1 over 3. So now we multiply straight across. 1 times 1 is 1. 9 times 3 is 27. And 1/27th is in simplest form. So that's our answer. All right, number 4. 7 divided by 1/2. Well, let's make 7 a fraction. So 7 over 1. Now we're going to keep the 7 over 1. We're going to change division to multiplication. And we're going to flip our second fraction so that it's 2 over 1. All right, now we multiply straight across. 7 times 2 is 14, and 1 times 1 is 1. Well, 14 divided by 1 is just the whole number 14. Right? So not too confusing. It's pretty straightforward as long as we remember to keep the first fraction, we change our division to multiplication, and then we flip our second number so that we're using the reciprocal. All right, let's look at a couple more examples. So 5 divided by 1/4. Let's make 5 a fraction, so 5 over 1. We're going to keep 5 over 1. We're going to change division to multiplication, and we're going to flip 1/4 so it becomes 4 over 1. All right, so 5 times 4, 20. 1 times 1 is 1. And we can simplify 20 over 1, or 21s, just to be 20 wholes. 20 as a whole number. All right, and one more. We're going to look at 1/3 divided by 4. Remember, I always said we would make everything fractions first. So our 4 needs to become 4 over 1 to be a fraction. Now we can do our keep, change, flip. So we keep 1/3. We change division to multiplication, and then we flip our 4 over 1 to become 1 over 4. Now we multiply straight across. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 4 is 12. And our answer is 1/12. Okay? So when we're dividing fractions, we can't divide fractions. So we have to keep the first fraction, change our division into multiplication, and then we flip our second fraction so that we write the reciprocal. So our numerator and our denominator flip. Okay? So I hope that helps you guys. Remember, keep, change, flip whenever you're dividing fractions. All right? Hope that you guys, and good luck with the rest of your work at home.